Jamie, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there?
Yeah.
The weather's cooling off and
I
the
know.
leaves are changing color. It's a beautiful time of year to be up here, I think. So
Today was the first day of the season where I had frost on my windshield, which was not the greatest thing, but you know, it's that time of year.
Time to break out the ice scraper and the winter coat.
Yep. The problem is the ice scraper is sitting at home in the garage, so I had to let my car run for a couple minutes before it came in.
I've definitely been there before. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I know when we spoke on the phone to schedule a meeting, you were out the door to soccer practice with the kids. So how's the season going so far?
You know, it's so far so good. It's
Mhm.
fun just watching them run around and be kids and
Mhm.
just try to learn the basics for soccer, and you know, it's a fun time in their life, and to be able to see that is pretty cool.
So are they still at the age where they get like snacks after the game that they parents bring them to them and stuff like that?
Yeah, you know, they are, but you know, this day and age with all the peanut allergies, soy allergies, all that, they're so picky about the things that you can bring to soccer practice that it's got to be, you know, like apples or things like that.
Sure.
So, and you know, tons of little kids are crazy about apples. So
I know I was. The caramel covered ones were my favorites, the ones that had a little bit of sugar. I know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when it's your time to bring a snack, what do you normally look for when you're picking something out? Obviously within the restraints that they give you.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually I'll do like a little thing of juice for them, and then I don't know, usually fresh fruit, or I'll try to do something like that.
Something fresh and
yeah,
healthy.
something fairly
Easy.
healthy. So.
Sure. Well, Jamie, I mean, that's kind of the reason that I'm here to meet with you today, is to present a product to you that is healthy, convenient, and that can also make an impact on the dollars and cents of the retailers that you support. And in doing my preliminary research before coming in, I found some data indicating that the industry as a whole is showing growth, and there are some categories at UNFI that are underperforming the industry as a whole.
Okay.
And I wanted to use our time today to diagnose this problem and use a new product that Hormel is launching with the Skippy PB&J Minis to help turn all these red bars back to green, just like the industry is seeing.
Okay.
So, given that I know you are new to this position, so congratulations on taking over the frozen food desk. There's my business card. That way you have my contact information at all times.
All right.
And I'm just kind of curious what challenges you've inherited stepping into this role in the first few months that you've noticed.
Yeah, so I've been in this role for about a month now, so I'm still pretty new to the category and still just trying to figure it out and, you know, just learn the category. But one of the things I've come across when I was looking at, I mean, this is a pretty telling slide, right? You don't want to see that much red on it. So we've been seeing an increase in people shopping categories that are fresh, such as our produce, our meat, and our dairy department, and they're really shopping the perimeter of the store.
Sure.
But a lot of that sales growth in those areas have caused some declines in frozen food. So now that I'm new to the frozen category and challenged with trying to turn around some of these sales trends, that's going to be a really big goal of mine going forward.
Okay, so you said turning around those sales numbers is your main goal for the time being. What's one or two ways that you're planning to get that accomplished?
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things I think that's pretty unique with the frozen category is it's really difficult for space, right? Space is a challenge in the stores. It's a challenge in the warehouse. You know, if a customer wants to increase their sales on a category that's growing, like frozen vegetables is a great example, right?
Sure.
It's growing, but you can't just add a couple more shelves of, you know, frozen vegetables without taking it away from somewhere else, because it's pretty expensive to order more machinery. So it's a little bit more of a commitment. So that's a pretty big challenging thing for this category.
So given how important space is, when you look to implement a new product, what criteria is most important to you?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that worked really well for me on the cleaning category I had was just making sure that I make data-driven decisions and making sure that everything that I decide is based on financial data that makes sense.
Okay.
One of the things that I'll admit that I probably need to work on this a little bit more, and I've really been challenging myself is just to keep the end consumer in mind a little bit more when I'm making decisions, because I tend to get so wrapped up in the numbers that I forget about, oh yeah, we have to actually think about what this looks like for somebody walking into the store.
Sure. So finding a balance between what the data says, but understanding the consumer experience and balancing those two things is a challenge that you've been facing that you're hoping to kind of overcome with the frozen category.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is there anybody else that you consult with when you decide to implement a new product? Like, what does that decision process look like?
Yeah, it's probably something the person who I took with the category for over is still around. So it might be something that I might go and just kind of try to pick their brain on it. But at the end of the day, I'll be the person that'll make the final decisions for this, because I'm the category merchandiser for this one.
Okay.
Really, again, for me, it's looking at the numbers to make sure that they make sense, and that it makes sense to a consumer walking the aisle.
Okay. So outside of looking for numbers that would justify product removal or product addition, and making sure those products are fresh, are there any other criteria that's really important to you in making decisions for your frozen category?
I think those are probably the biggest ones there that you hit on.
Okay. So if I could use the data to show you how the Skippy PB&J Minis product can increase sales in the retailers that you support, would you be interested in hearing more about it?
I definitely would be interested in hearing more about it, and if everything makes sense to me, I could possibly be interested in taking items as well.
Okay, great. Well, the first thing I want to do is give you a little product sample for you to enjoy while we speak. And this is just an example of what the facing would look like if it was in one of your retailers. So specifically, the product is 3 different SKUs. We have the grape, the strawberry, and then the natural selection. Now, all 3 of these have been chosen very intentionally with data to support their implementation. Strawberry and grape have actually been the 2 most consumed jams over the last decade in the United States, which was surprising to me. I always thought grape was number 1. That's what I had growing up as a kid, but it looks like strawberry has surpassed that. And so we've been able to capitalize on those.
Do you know why grape is probably the one you had the most?
My guess would be it's what my parents had growing up. Do you know why that would be?
I have a thought. So when you're looking at grape versus, like with the preserves category, a lot of times when the grape fruit is the cheapest commodity item, so it's a lower cost. So a lot of times you can get a more aggressive price point at retail. Versus like a raspberry or a blackberry. They're much more expensive berries than grape are, so it tends to drive the cost up, which you'd see reflected at retail.
That's fascinating. So, I did not expect to learn something like that coming in here. So that's great to know. And then the natural option was selected because IRI data is showing now that 60% of mothers are checking the labels on products that they purchase for their families before they place them into their baskets. And so having an offering that has a streamlined ingredient list has become more and more important as health trends have become more apparent to millennials, who are now the largest buying group in the United States. They have a buying power of about $600 billion. And that's driving a lot of change in online shopping that I'm sure you've noticed being in the retail space. So that is an overview of the product specifically. Do you have any questions about that?
I think you covered it pretty well on that portion. So no questions right now.
Great. Now, the product has been successful in a variety of retailers. So each logo on here currently carries the Skippy PB&J Minis product. And I know that you're very interested in data. One reason that the product has been so successful is because consumers are indicating that they prefer a nationally branded product over a private label when looking at store shelves. So we have a 4% increase and about a 4% decrease between national and private. So that's an 8-point swing that the Skippy Minis product is able to capitalize on. And one way that we're able to get traffic into retailers and create excitement about the product is through our national marketing campaign. So the national marketing campaign includes in-store signage, couponing, in-store product demonstrations, and features and displays. Now, all of this money comes directly from Hormel to support the product. So the marketing is of no extra cost to you, but will have a direct effect on the bottom line of your retailers.
Okay.
I wanted to speak specifically about the product demonstrations because it plays into the success of the product very well. Our data shows that in stores where demonstrations are present, rebuy rates are 2 times higher of the product when compared to stores that don't hold the product demonstrations. And the reason we're able to do this is because we place the demonstration right inside the front door. We create excitement for the consumer. As soon as they get into the store, they get a free product sample. And then we direct them to make their purchase. Now, you had mentioned that a lot of your consumers are staying on the outsides of your locations. And so we're able to solve this problem through directing the first thing that the customer buys is into that frozen section.
Okay.
And strategically placing the item at the back of the frozen section gives the added benefit of the vantage point into the rest of the middle of the store.
Okay.
So we start them out with that positive experience, we get them into the middle of the store, and then they continue their shopping experience. And our data shows that consumers who purchase the Skippy Mini products leave with a larger basket relative to our competitors. So not only will this affect you and your success in managing the frozen category, but it will affect your retailers positively as well.
So what would those demos look like? Is that something where your sales staff would come in and do the demos in the stores for us, or okay?
Yes. So we make the investment into the stores, and it would be one of our staff there giving the demonstration. We typically do a launch week to make sure the product is as successful as possible during that first week, and that is what allotment of money I have to support you with. And if we continue to see success, I'm more than happy to come back and discuss how adding follow-up demonstrations and providing more funding for that in the future would be, because it's a very effective way to increase the basket size of your consumers.
Okay, great.
So I know we've covered a couple different things so far. Do you have any questions about anything we've talked about?
You know, I guess just one thing that I have a little bit of concerns about, going back to that first slide you were showing me, where you were looking at the sales by category.
Sure.
There.
Yes.
So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, space is a premium in the frozen section right now. And when you look at frozen fruits and vegetables, right, and when you look at how that's doing compared to the frozen snacks category, it's really difficult for me to take space away from a category that's growing and really driving a lot of our sales to a category like the frozen snacks, which aren't performing quite as strongly.
Absolutely. Now, we do have some data that at a national level indicates that the frozen handheld entrees category is showing a lot of growth as a whole, and that is what I would classify the Skippy Minis product in. So bread alone has seen a 112% increase, and the entree itself has seen a 20% increase. So going back to this first slide, you know, if frozen vegetables are performing well and we were discussing product removal, my recommendation would be something along the lines of frozen meats, maybe identifying a product in there that hasn't been performing as well.
Okay.
I have data that shows 61% of consumers are looking to get more protein in their diet, and they're going beyond meats to do that. There are some environmental concerns, health concerns that go along with the meats, and so what we've done is we've capitalized on the trend of moving towards nut butters and nut-based protein sources with this product. It actually has 15% more protein than our competing products. So we're able to capitalize on this negative trend and turn it into something positive for your retailers. So could you see the value of maybe removing a product from that category to implement the Skippy Minis?
Yeah, you know, I do see the value in that. That makes a lot of sense. That would help free up slots in our warehouse. Kind of, I guess, one other thing that I have a little bit of concern about is within the snacks category, right? Because, like I've said, I'm trying to keep the retailer in mind and think about what it looks like at the shelf. So where you have like let's say one door for your handheld snacks, right? We have Smuckers is a company that they are a very strong partner with us.
Absolutely.
They have Bagel Bites, they have Uncrustables. They promote very heavily with us, and I have a little bit of concern about bringing another brand into that category. It could potentially take away from some of the sales, and I don't know how I would fit it within the snacks category.
Sure, so you're concerned about a product cannibalizing sales of other products by adding it to the mix.
Yeah.
So our data shows from the companies that we have already implemented this product in, I'll go specifically to a retailer called Smart Foods that we have worked with. They had some distribution challenges with a competing product of ours and actually used our product to supplement those challenges. They saw a 15% lift in product sales relative to that competitor, and the sales were incremental to the category. So they did not negatively affect the sales of other products in the category.
Okay.
So does that answer your concern about the product maybe taking away from other sales?
Yeah, it does. So I have another appointment. So we have probably about 2 or 3 more minutes left. Can I ask what it is you recommend as far as the items that we carry?
Absolutely. So I have laid out a plan for the most successful way to implement the product. Now, I understand that a slotting fee is industry standard for implementing a new product.
Yeah, and we do expect $7,500 per item in slotting.
Okay. So what I've done is developed a plan that invests directly in the success of the product. So I have $15,000 of total allotment to dedicate to the launch of this product.
So can I get like 2 of them for 15 or?
Absolutely, we could definitely organize that.
Okay.
Now I would like to walk you through this because I think there's a way that we could get all 3 in your stores to give you the maximum amount of success by investing in $2,000, the full amount for the Back to Routine promotion, which helps drive traffic directly to the stores. We then invest $11,250 in the product demonstration. So that covers the entire launch week. That cost is completely absorbed by Hormel, and what that does is it doubles the rebuy rates of your product purchases during the first week, and then we can dedicate the remaining allowance to dead inventory of a product that we would decide to remove from the category. Now, based on
So I'll have to stop you there for a second.
Sure.
Because I like where your head's at with driving sales, but we do require slotting, and I don't see any slotting fees included in your plan. So is there maybe somewhere, in the middle where we could meet on this? Is like maybe a compromise between what you're proposing and the $7,500 per item?
Absolutely. If we were to dedicate let's say for 2 SKUs, we could dedicate $7,500 towards the slotting fee, and then the rest of my $7,500 towards product demonstration, so we're still investing in the success of the product. Would that be a compromise you'd be willing to make?
Sorry, say it. So
it'd be a 50-50 split between the demos, and just so you know, when we invest this amount into the success of the product with 3 SKUs, we see about $2.7 million in sales for a calendar year.
I think that Back to Routine promotion is pretty important for me.
Okay.
So I'd like to do that, and then so maybe if we can do $2,000 for that, and then maybe do some of the product demonstrations.
Sure.
Maybe just not quite as much.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. So what slotting fee number would you be most comfortable with, and then I can adjust from there?
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe if we did so we're talking all 3 SKUs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if we did $2,000 per item, plus that'd be $6,000 plus the $2,000 for the back to school routine, that would give us $7,000 that we could put towards product demonstrations.
Sure.
Does that work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this would be for your corporate supported locations?
Yeah. Correct.
So it would be 768 cases. And what we can do is, once we ship this product and you see how successful it is in your corporate retailers, I have a meeting with Deluxe Foods tomorrow to talk about slotting this in their stores as well. I know that you support them. And so if we wanted to loop back and kind of go at it from a team perspective to go further into your locations, I think that would be a great plan.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jamie. I look forward to our partnership over the next year to 2 years and seeing how successful we can make your frozen category.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah. Here, I'll walk out with you.
Okay.